Let's understand the concept of tuning tools, what they are. These are the free tools available within our regular SSMS for the purpose of ensuring optimized data processing, optimized database operations. Here we go. Let's get started. Here it is. Inside our SSMS tool, we have two important tuning tools. Number one, profiler tool. Number two, DTA tool, also called database engine tuning advisor, DTA tool. There are two important tools, profiler, DTA. Let's understand how to perform these activities. Here we go. Profiler tool. What's the purpose of profiler tool? Let's see. This tool is auto included inside SSMS or Studio, Management Studio, used to audit or trace the operations we perform, to trace or audit the operations we perform on the SQL Server and databases. This tool results in one output called trace. This output can be in number one file format called trace file, extension TRC. Number two, table format, also called trace table. Two things. Number one, output trace file, or number two, output in trace table. And this output can be used as input for the next tool. What is that? DTA. See here, output of profiler is given as input to DTA. What is DTA tool? Let's see. What is DTA tool? Let's observe it carefully. Means database engine tuning advisor. Please by heart this new term for us. Auto included inside SSMS, used to analyze the queries, nothing but the DB operations, and recommend us with possible tuning techniques. This recommends three important techniques. Number one, index creations. On which column we are supposed to create the indexes for better performance. Number two, we have partition creations. On which table, which column partitioning is recommended. Usually for OLTP, partitions are not recommended. If it is a warehouse, historical data store, then partitions are recommended. And statistics creations. Statistics are the column address information. Okay. Now, once we have the recommendations, once we get the recommendations, we need to manually execute the auto generated scripts from this tool based on the recommendations. Once we get the recommendations, we need to manually execute the auto generated scripts. This is output of the DTA tool. This generation of script is done automatically based on the recommendations, above 3 recommendations. Let's understand with an example. Let's see the tuning tools implementation. For this tuning tool implementation, step number 1, launch SSMS tool. Launch SSMS tool and connect to your local SQL server. Nothing but the DB engine server. Run the given .sql file so that you have one database called product database. You already practiced previous items in order in the sequence as per the chapter wise content. Then you already have this database with you. If required, you get this database created. Connect to our SQL server. Any version is okay, 19, 22, any version is okay. Connect to the server. Next. And you run the script. Right now, in my server, I don't see the database called product database. So let me just go to file, open file. You download the script from the class notes. You download the script from the class notes and you see one file called say database installation file. Let me take it this way. Database installation file like this. Click open from the downloads. You get one file. This script will create a database called product database with 10,000 rows, 4 tables: time, product, customer, and sales. Just execute. Don't select any statements. Open the file, click execute. Once we get this database ready, this one. Once we get this database ready, what next? Let's go back to the notes. Step number 2. Step number 2. Step number 2. What we do is launch profiler. Launch profiler tool, and here it is. Go to tools profiler, this one. Go to tools profiler. We get one SQL Server profiler. Connect template, tuning template. Give the trace file. either trace file or trace table, any one. Back to our notes. Trace file or table, any one. In our example right now, I'll say from SSMS tool, SSMS tool, top tools, click on profiler, launch profiler tool. Okay, this way. Once you launch profiler tool, connect to the SQL server, same SQL server. Specify a trace name. Specify a trace name. I'll call it as tuning trace. Give some name. Any name is fine. Template, tuning template. We have logs, groups, TSQL, so on. Tuning template right now. Okay, let's see. Click on this tuning template. Select tuning template so that relevant events will be auto selected. Procedures, stored procedures, SQL batches. The events are auto selected. We can also filter based on particular database name. In our example right now, you would like to filter the events only based on product database. This one, something like this, like product database. I repeat, click on column filters, database name, product database, like this. Click OK. You don't want to overload the trace. It may have some negative impact on performance. So filter only for a particular database, a product database, the one that we installed today. Next, the output of this trace will be saved to a file. I'll save it to one TRC file, trace file. File size, for example, like this. Some size. And we are supposed to use this trace file as input to next tool, DTA tool. So server process trace data. Check the box. Back to our notes. Let's document it. Specify a trace name. Template, tuning template. Go to events. We see TSQL batch and stored procedure event selected. Automatically, auto selected. Just leave it as it is. Next. Then we have next item. Click on filters. Specify database name as a filter. And next. Back to first tab. Earlier events, filters. Now back to first tab, general tab. What next? Specify file location to store TRC file, location to store the TRC file, and set file size. Enable file rollover means new files are auto created once current file reach its size. New file is auto created once the current file reach its size, that is enable rollover we call it, and server process trace data. What does it mean? Here we go. When we say server process trace data, it means the TRC file can be used as input for DTA tool. This is a concept. For what? For the next item, DTA tool. What next? Here it is. Once you perform all these steps, simply here it is. Click run. You can enable the trace stop time. Alternative to file, you can give a table, but table is very slow. Go for trace file. Click on run. Click on run. This one. Once we click on run, trace starts. Click on run, trace starts. Observe carefully. Once the trace is started, then our next step, let's see. Trace started, right? We are supposed to audit only product database activities. So what I do here, let's observe carefully. I shall mail you one workload file. I shall mail you one workload file, and you need to simply run that workload file here. Let me just take you this way. This is a workload file. Here we go. Select the workload file, click open. Once we get the workload file, verify the content first. This one. This workload file has few long running queries that we are going to audit. See here, the audit started now. These are the queries we run from SSMS, getting audited through the profiler. And you will also run few other queries like this. Make sure no errors while executing the queries. Some sample select queries I am executing. So what we did first? Launch SSMS, install the database. Then start the profiler, set the trace file location. Then workload file. This is our workload queries or input queries. Say customer has given these long running queries. You are analyzing them. You are identifying the problem so that we can get recommendations from the DTA tool, and we are going to implement those recommendations next. Run the queries. Any number of queries. Stop the profiler. Finally, stop it. So profiler is like a CC camera. We are going to audit all the queries here. Next, something like this, the latest query. You got it audited. We see something called text data for the query. And which database? Product database, the filtered database. You see the duration of the queries, SPID, connection ID, and who exactly logged in. We are able to see the login information. Stop. Once we stop the profiler, trace stopped, close. Start the DTA tool, implement tuning recommendations. Back to the nodes. What is that? I'll just take this one first. The implementation plan. Just wait. I'll take it this way. Yes, here it is. The implementation plan, step 1, step 2, step 3. Here it is. What we do first? Here it is, a server process trace data, and then I said start, right? Isn't it? Start the tool. Step number 3, from SSMS, open the workload file from nodes, run each query at a time, and the queries are auto audited in the profiler or auto audited from the profiler. They are written to the trace file. Finally, close or stop the trace or stop the profiler tool. And close the window, profiler window. Number 4. What we do next? Here we go. Launch DTA, Database Engine Tuning Advisor. Here it is, from SSMS tools, click on Database Engine Tuning Advisor tool, launch it. Once we launch it, connect to the same SQL server that we are currently connected. Connect to the currently available SQL server and select the database to tune. What is that? Product database. And input will be the about trace file. Click on start so that the DTA tool will start. This gives a set of recommendations. Here it is. Go to Tools, Database Engine Tuning Advisor. Connect to the currently available server and you already have the profiler output, right? This one. Open. If you get this kind of permission problem, you do not have permissions, then what we do? Simple. Cut. Give it to another drive, another location. Open. It works. It works. If you're having any permission problem, cut it and paste it to a different location. It works. Database workload for analysis, product database. And this is the database you would like to tune. There are 4 tables you would like to tune. Either all 4 tables or only particular table of your choice. For now, I'll select only product and sales you would like to tune, or all. It's up to you as per the requirement. What if we don't have profiler? We can directly select a table, profiler output from file or table. If you don't have profiler, then recent queries. Either the recent queries from the memory cache or from query store. Query store is from the database. Recent queries from the database. Recent queries from the memory. But recommended to always get it from a profiler. Go to profiler output file format, profiler output table format, either of them. Go to tuning options. Go to tuning options. Next. Here it is. Once you go to tuning options, then here you see you would like to recommend partitions, say full partitioning, indexes. You don't want to disturb existing indexes and other database objects, or if it is a new environment, you may say do not keep existing. You can consider them to be removed. All existing indexes, partitions will be removed. But for production, better to keep them. Just go by the default tuning options and then we need to simply click on Start Analysis. Click on Start Analysis. So what I did, here I said which database to tune, which database to analyze, which source to analyze, TRC file. Tuning options, no change. Start analysis, we get recommendations. In this case, we see the recommendations like this. Click on each recommendation, copy, go to SSMS and paste the recommendation. Select and execute. It's a regular index creation process. Drop existing equal to on means in indexes chapter we learnt sort in TempDB, online options. Something new here. Drop existing equal to on means if index already exists, drop and recreate. Close. Same way, click second one. Copy to clipboard. Select and execute. Same way, click copy to clipboard. Select and execute like this. So each recommendation we need to execute manually. Each recommendation. Copy to clipboard and execute. These recommendation scripts can be for index objects or statistics, mean column address information. For example, this one, see here, copy to clipboard, it's a statistics one. Select and execute. We need to implement all these recommendations in the same order so that we can win 42% improvement in performance. This is the concept. Earlier your queries used to take say 100 seconds. Now 42% improvement, they take about say 58 seconds instead of 100. So these recommendations are given by DTA tool, and DTA tool is making use of profiler tool. So profiler, DTA, those two tools always work together. Back to our notes. So here it is. Let's wait. I'll just remove all this content. So you get the recommendations. Step number 5. So what we do here, click start. Go to recommendations page. Go to recommendations page and click on each recommendation. Click on each recommendation, and what we do? Here it is. Copy the auto generated script to the clipboard. Okay, and go to SSMS tool, run, or simply paste the script, select, execute. This is a concept. So this way we learnt how to work with the concept of tuning tools. Okay, practice all these items carefully and use me for your doubts and clarifications. Make sure we practice the items carefully on time so that we can be ready for our next activities. And there is a small diagram I would like to add here to the notes. Just give me a few moments time. Let me add the diagram as well for easy understanding. Yes, here it is on the screen. The synopsis. Profiler is going to audit, and we get the trace. Trace is given to DTA tool. We analyze the trace. DTA analyze the trace against the server and give you recommendations. These recommendations are run manually on the database so that we get the appropriate indexes, statistics, and partitions. You practice these items as is and do let me know for your doubts, clarifications.